Hey guys, my name is Caitlin Connell and I'm one of your undergraduate TAs, and today I'm going to be covering a few instances of female superstars in the insect world. I just wanted to give you guys a fun and weird kind of guide to some quick facts. Let's get into it. Now, I know what you're thinking. What could be so interesting about Neopterans? Well, you see this lovely lady over here, Extatosoma teretium, or the Australian spiny leaf-stick insect, is a strong, independent woman who can do it all. How's this? Because she's a parthenogenic species, which, as you all know, means that they are asexual. This species can switch between sexual and asexual reproduction. If she chooses to mate with a male, she will produce both males and females. But if she chooses not to, she will only produce other females, clones of herself. Males in this species have a bit of an unfair advantage. They have claspers and the ability to fly, while the females have stunted wings. But this doesn't mean that she doesn't know how to protect herself. First off, she has an anti-aphrodisiac to try and keep them away. But if they don't stop, she's covered in spines. They try and crawl on top of her, they'll get pricked, and if they still insist, she will kick them off. They evolved this method of reproduction most likely because the overall cost of mating with a potentially low population size can lead to unfavorable offspring. So these females are then able to clone themselves, proving that they were good enough survivors. So I'm pretty sure most of you by now have heard the jokes about how inaccurate the bee movie is. And unfortunately, that is very true. In a hive, there are 3 different types of bees: worker, drone, and queen. Queens and workers are both females, while the drones are males. But there is a larger distinction. Only queens are able to reproduce. Since bee colonies have only one queen, they are responsible for sustaining the population of the whole colony. In order to do this, they will participate in what's called a mating flight. Queens during a mating flight will mate with up to 20 drones. And speaking of drones, after copulating, it is likely that their penis will explode and he will fall to the ground dead. In some cases, the explosion is so powerful it can even sever its abdomen. Sorry. On the off chance that it does survive, they can go back to the hive, but will soon be kicked out to starve, since they serve no other purpose. Meanwhile, the queen can store over 100 million sperm in her oviducts and immediately begins fertilizing eggs. About 5 to 6 million sperm are left over. These are stored in the spermathecal and used at a later date of up to 4 years. The gender of these eggs is determined by the orientation of the cell in which the queen lays her eggs. A vertical cell will be for a queen, while a horizontal cell will either be for a worker bee or a drone. The queen and worker bees make these decisions based on what is needed. In some cases, another queen can try and invade the hive, causing them to be either kicked out by the workers or fought to death by the original queen. If that original queen begins to slow and can no longer produce as many eggs, the workers will smother and overheat her. These workers are very devoted. They take care of the queen and larvae when they're young, then move up to producing wax, and finally foraging to collect nectar, pollen, and water. Unfortunately, they only live about 6 to 7 weeks. And the little pictures are of the difference between a honey and a bumblebee. The bumblebee is the one on the right, and the honeybee is the one on the left. It also shows the different looks of a worker, drone, and a queen. And the top image, the little shiny white bit, that is a queen in a group of worker bees. When talking about female insects, it's kind of hard to leave out the Mantidaeas. They have a behavior that is seen amongst several species, and I think you all might have heard of it. It's that females can sometimes kill and eat their mates. Their courtship behaviors can sometimes involve biting off the heads of their male mates, and though that action is seen a lot, it's not that common. Not all praying mantis species even cannibalize their mates. It only occurs when the mate has irritated her or she is starving. So this situation only happens about 13 to 28% of the time. And in an odd way, it kind of benefits the males. And that is that researchers have found that when this occurs, females lay twice as many eggs, meaning the male's DNA has a higher chance of being passed on to the next generation. So, here's some little rapid fire fun facts. Now, dragonflies. Females, they're finding that they've learned to start faking their deaths to avoid sexual advances from males. And what they'll do is that they dive down and fall, pretending to be dead when they're being pursued by a mate. And this behavior is very rare in insects and is very prominent in arthropods. Next up, we got Neotralgia curvata. In this species, females have what's called a pseudopenis, which is an organ that looks like a penis, but it really isn't one, while males have something similar to a vagina. But what they do is they are able to reach in and collect the sperm. Now, remember, spiders are not insects, but while I was doing some extra research, I stumbled upon this spider that I thought was too interesting to not include. So, males don't produce webs, and they live on the fringes of females, where they have to gauge whether or not the female actually wants to mate with them. If not, the female will eat him just because he thinks that they're prey, or she thinks that he's prey. And so what he does is he will distract her by standing on his head and offering up his abdomen to be eaten as he tries to mate. This will continue, and if he hasn't died at this point, he will try for the second, and most males don't even get to that point or survive. On that kind of grim note, I just want to say to you guys, good luck on your finals. Here are some cute pictures of bugs, because I'm terrified of spiders and I didn't like the last one on that slide. So have a nice day.